Hey guys, hello and welcome back to my channel, and in today's class we are going to look at how to ace your global perspective written examination. And this class is an intensive, condensed and filtered class for this particular paper. In case if you have your exam recently or you are planning to give IGCSE examination, then this class is a must watch for you. Now, before I start with my lecture, I would want all of you to please first go and follow me on my Instagram handle, and also do not forget to check the description box wherein I have linked all the free resources on my website. So you will get the link of my website in the description below. Don't forget to check that out. Also, in case if you are looking for personal live one-to-one online classes, call on the number given on the screen. My team will get in touch with you for the same, for the free demo classes. The demo classes are completely free. First of all, let's understand what is global perspective. Now, global perspective is a subject in IGCSE. It has three major components. One is your written paper, second is your individual project, and the third one is your group project, which is also team project. So this particular class is completely dedicated to written paper. I will be coming further with other two components as well. So in case if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, do not forget to hit that subscribe button right now. Alright, so let's get started with our class. Let's move on to my screen now. As you can see on my screen, before we begin the class, there are two important instructions to you all. One, get a pen and a paper or a notebook wherein you take notes. It is very, very important to pause. You can pause my video, jot down what I'm saying, and then move ahead with the video, because this practice will help you to retain the concepts learned for a long period of time. Secondly, sit in a distraction-free room. It's very important because in case if you're watching this on your phone or on your tablet or on your laptop, wherever you are, move to a room which is completely distraction-free. You can sit and watch complete video properly without missing any single part, because each and every part is very important. As I mentioned before, I have condensed all the information in a single video. So very important to focus. Focus is extremely important component. Now moving on to the next part, that is your assessments. Let's understand how this particular component of global perspective is assessed. So as you all can see on my screen, it is component 1, and this particular paper carries just a second, let me take a good color for the class. Okay, 1 hour 15 minutes. You have this much time to solve the paper. It carries 35% of the weightage and 70 marks. If you know, global perspective is for 200 marks in total. If you add component 1, component 2 and component 3, all added up becomes 200 marks. Written examination specifically is for 70 marks. Okay, now very important part over here is the format of the paper remains the same always. So candidates answer 4 compulsory questions based on the range of sources. Similar to what you get in your English, you get inserts, right? In global perspective, you get sources which you have to read, analyze, interpret. It can be an image, it can be a flowchart, it can be a mind map, it can be written text, it can be anything. You have to read, analyze, interpret, and based on that you have to answer the questions, those 4 questions. Each type of question has different way of solving. So that's what we are going to look ahead. Now when you answer the question, you have to understand the range of perspective: personal, local, national, global. Okay, and it will be drawn from the list of 8 topics. So basically Cambridge has already given you the 8 topics that you need to prepare for your global perspective examination, which will look at in the further screens. Okay, which will look further. Now what we are going to understand is, if you notice, component 1 is only research, analysis and evaluation. 100% of the weightage goes to this thing: research, analysis and evaluation. So let's understand what is research, analysis and evaluation. So what does it say? Candidates should be able to design and carry out research into current global issues, their causes, consequences and possible course of action. Now how will you research? You have all the sources to refer to. You have to read those sources, understand what they are trying to say, think from the perspective of local, national, global, personal perspectives, and then answer the question 100% as a personal response. I always focus here. Cambridge is trying to test your critical analytical skill. So when you do that, critical thinking ability is reflected only if you write a very good personal response answer. Next is use evidence to support claims, arguments, perspective. Whatever sources are given to you, use that to convince what points you are trying to make. That is, use the evidences to support your claim. Simple as that. Next is identify and analyze issues, arguments, and perspective. As I talked before, you have to analyze the issues, arguments, and perspectives given from the sources. Analyze and evaluate the evidence and reasoning used to support claims, arguments, and perspective. This is generally question number 3 and 4, wherein you have to reason. Why do we have that particular evidence? Why do we have that particular claim or argument? That reasoning should be done while you are writing your answers. Analyze and evaluate sources or process to support research, arguments, perspective, and outcomes. And the last one, develop a line of reasoning, very important, to support an argument, perspective, courses of action or outcome. So this line of reasoning development is extremely important, and in this class we are going to look ahead how to do that. Okay. So now let's understand the topics over here. Now, a very important part is Cambridge IGCSE Global Perspective is built around the topics. Knowledge of the content is not assessed. Very important. You don't have to learn something over here. They are not going to assess the knowledge of the content. What they are going to look at is how well you are using the sources to answer the question as a personal response, and how critically you are able to think. Global perspective doesn't test your knowledge. It's not a knowledge level testing that's done. What they test about is the analytical skill, how well you are able to evaluate something. That is more important, and that's what you should try building your answer around. Okay, so these are the topics that you might get the sources from. Demographic changes, education for all, employment, fuel and energy, globalization, law and criminality, migration, transport systems. So technically you should be aware of these concepts, what's happening in the real world. So when we conduct the classes for global perspective, what we do is we take up a topic, we take up a source, we discuss it with the child, so that thinking ability is developed in the class only, because it is technically not possible to develop this thinking ability in that 1 hour 15 minutes of global perspective examination. This is the job that we as an educator do. We develop this thinking ability, and that's what you need to practice. You need to take up a topic, take up a source, discuss it with your friends, discuss with your parents, discuss with your siblings, discuss with somebody who will give active input, and that will help you to develop that thinking ability, critical thinking ability for all these topics. Okay, now moving on to the next part is your marks distribution. So technically you have like 75 minutes for the examination, which is 1 hour 15 minutes. Now there are 4 questions to be answered. Question number 1 carries 12 marks. Question number 2 carries 14 marks. Okay. And question number 3 carries 20. Question number 4 is 24. Please understand, as you go ahead with the question, the marks increases. So do not end up wasting too much time on a particular question. Give enough time. So how to allocate the time? You have to give 1 minute for every mark. Okay, so for a 12 mark question you will give 12 minutes. Okay, for a 6 mark question you will give 6 minutes, so on and so forth. Okay, now first let's understand what are sources. So when I say sources, you will answer 4 compulsory questions based on the source material. So source is the reference material, the reference, it could be text. There are 4 sources given to you in the form of text, image, diagram, flowchart, mind map, anything which will trigger your thinking ability. And you have to read, analyze, evaluate these sources and then answer the questions. Okay, the source material will present claims, arguments and evidences. So they are going to present claim, arguments and evidences from different perspective on global issue. Very, very important. Different perspective on a single global issue, and then you have to analyze it from a personal, local, national perspective. Okay, these questions comprise of a series of sub-questions that include short answer and more extended responses. So you have series of questions over here which includes short answers and more extended responses that we will look at it in depth in the further part of the video. Okay, now coming to the first question and how this particular question has to be answered. Now, first question is for 12 marks. It could be based on a statistical information. Why is it saying that it is based on statistical information? Because it's a direct answer, direct question to be precise. It's a direct question. Okay, so first question is direct question and may be asked for examples to describe patterns and trends shown in the statistical information. So technically, what do you have to do over here? You just have to observe and answer. Don't waste too much time in analyzing. In the first question, the pattern remains the same of the paper. So just observe and answer this question. Okay? Now, you also have to identify and identify causes, consequences of an issue. Again, this is an observation question, isn't it? Observation thing. So what you have to do, it's a direct question. You have to observe and directly answer. So do not waste too much time in writing the explanation. No need to give explanation unless asked. Unless asked. Okay. I hope I'm clear until here. Now moving on to the next thing, that is example of the first question. As you all can see on my screen, identify the trend in the number of Snapchat users between 2014 to 2016. Now what you can see over here, you can see that the trend is increasing, isn't it? And the moment Instagram story was launched, that point of time, the rate of increase in the trend was decreased. Okay, at this point, Instagram stories were launched. So what you have to do is simply say what you see. That is what I see here and I have explained it. But make sure cover all the points. Okay, so if I just see, I can see the increasing trend. That is not enough. If you see here, growth is 23, 8.7, 14.5, 12.7, 7.5. And then if you see, the growth has decreased over here. So talk about it. The growth has decreased in the year, which is it here? I think it's quarterly. Okay, it's quarterly thing. So this particular quarter, the growth has decreased in 0476 quarter. Immediately after the Instagram stories were launched, the growth was decreased. And this is the point. So you cover the first it is increasing trend. And then the growth seems to be decreasing. The rate of growth seems to be decreasing in this particular quarter immediately after the Instagram stories were launched. So you don't have to do much. You have to just simply answer what you see. But very important here is see, clearly observe. Observe every aspect and answer all the aspects required. Okay. Question number 2 example is identify 2 causes from this source as to why Snapchat decided to redesign their interface. So friends page, camera, discover page. You need to identify 2 causes and write these in full sentences. This is the answer I would want all of you to answer in the comments below. Observe it. Okay, you can zoom, you can pause over here and observe and answer in the comment. Okay, do this right away. Don't pause the video, stop here and start doing this. Answer that in the comment because I would want to read what have you observed over here. Okay, if you want me to zoom, quickly pause the video over here. Okay, I hope you all have answered the question. Now moving on to the next part, that's your question 2. Now question number 2 carries 6 marks and it focuses on the use of evidence and methods of testing claim. So what it is trying to do, this particular question is asking you to evaluate. Okay? This question is helping you to evaluate and then answer. How well does this author uses evidence to support the claim that social media has a negative impact on young people's mental health? How do we get full marks? Okay, so first let's understand what's the question. If you see in question number 2, what is evident? In question number 2 are the words evidences. Okay, that sentence was quite confusing. So technically I'm trying to tell you is the question, when you are reading question number 2, you will see this particular word. Okay, I need to get a highlighter here. Alright, I'll just put it in the right way. This has to be done, completed. And then so evidence is something you can see in question number 2. To support the claim that social media has a negative impact. So this is the claim that the social media has a negative impact on young people's mental health, and you need to give the evidence to support the claim. So if you see, this particular question is for 6 marks. So technically you should have around 5 to 6 pointers. Always remember, try to follow this. Number of marks equals to number of points you pick up from the text. Okay, why to do this? Because in that case you will be able to write and very important part here is make sure the points are non-repetitive and relevant to the question. Okay, so this has to be taken care of, that the points are non-repetitive and relevant. Again, if you see how to get the full marks, what you should be clearly reasoned, credible and structured evaluation. So what you have to do is you have to pick up a point and then explain it in your own words. Okay, point, explain. 2 or more develop points. When I say develop points, simple meaning of develop points are make it relevant to the question and non-repetitive. Don't answer the same thing over and don't say the same thing over and over again in different words. Make it a clearly differentiated non-repetitive point. Okay, with some other under or wide range of 4 or more undeveloped points. So please stick to 5 to 6 pointers to be on a safer side and score maximum marks over here. Evaluation is clearly focused on the evidence, its strengths and weaknesses, the way it's used to support the claim. Okay, so you have to talk about the strengths and weaknesses also of what? Of using Instagram, of using social media. So what are the weaknesses of using social media? Talk about it. Write down all the points which you can see in this question. Okay, over here, that how well does the author use evidence to support the claim that Instagram has a negative impact on young people's mental health? This is the source. Okay, what I want you all to do is, I'm not going to discuss this answer. I'm just zooming in, and you all can try answering this question in the comment section below. I will try to read as many comments as possible and revert back there. Also, you can help your peers. If you have a better answer and you're reading somebody's comment, revert on that. Make it a live discussion wherein we all are discussing each other's perspective. Okay, so you all can pause right now. Okay, I hope you all are done with this part. Now going on to the next thing, that is your question 2A example. Again, yeah, strengths, how to basically differentiate the strengths and weaknesses. Strength, acknowledgement of how evidence was gathered. Direct quotes from Royal Society of Public Health. Other studies, possibly research mentioned. Evidence presented in a persuasive and assertive manner. The evidence is related clearly and explicitly to the argument. Use many examples of negative impacts. Language used to present evidence is negative. Okay. Now weaknesses could be research evidence is partially cited. The date, title, author and the source are not full or clear. Level of expertise of the author, whether it is the author is an expert author, how much credible that author is, that is very important. Yes. If somebody says something, you should be knowing his or her credibility also to believe that person. Other studies are unknown sources. Okay, unknown sources. Again, we don't know who has written that, whether that person was knowledgeable enough to write it. We don't know about it. So we should talk about it in the weakness. The evidence may be presented in a biased way. So basically they are focusing only on one part. They are not focusing on the other part. If it is a discursive style, that means they are balancing out both. Now, if they are not focusing on both the parts, that is the benefits and the drawbacks of social media, you have to talk about it as a weakness. No statistical data. Statistics are extremely important and very, very crucial component of global perspective. You can pick up this thing, that statistical information. I would request all of you to save this video, because you can watch it all over again, because whatever I'm saying right now, it needs to be drilled in your head over a period of time after listening to the lecture. Save it, and save it in such a way that you can set a timer that I have to watch this video once every week, before or just before writing and answering a written paper. Very important. Alright, moving on to the next part, that is your question number B. So question 2B is for 8 marks, and what they are focusing about, testing the claim. So there they were asking you to give evidences and support the claims. Here they are asking you to test the claim. How to test a claim? They have clearly mentioned in the question only. Instagram is the most harmful social network for mental health. The above statement is a claim that you need to test. How you could go about testing the validity of it. Types of information, sources of evidences, methods you might use. Please stick to this. Very important. Follow this to the core. This is extremely important and elaborate. Elaborate each point. Okay. Next is, alright, I hope this part is clear to you all. I'll move on to the next slide now. There is nothing much to talk about after this. What we will look at is how to get full marks in question 3. Again, more or less the pointers remains the same. You have to talk about non-repetitive, relevant, and try to fix on number of points, as many as you can, equals to number of marks. Okay? You might not get 8 points, that's okay, but stick to this. Okay, it's always to write a little more than to end up writing a little less, but don't write or just blabber things in your paper. Write logical, write relevant and non-repetitive. Again and again I'm saying that because many a times kids, what they do is they make sure they repeat, ghuma fira ke they are writing the same thing. So don't do that. Again, understanding this, what they are expecting us to do: clearly reasoned, credible and structured explanation of the range of ways to test the claim. How to find out the range of ways? It's given over here. Type of information, source of evidence, methods you might use. That is how you will analyze the range of ways. The response conditions, 3 or more developed points. They are accepting more than 3 developed points. So stick to the number of points. As many points as you can find, write it. And response is clearly and explicitly related to testing the claim. So you have to stick to this part, that you are testing the claim. Okay, very important. Testing the claim, that is again, it takes you to the non-relevant. Keep it relevant to the question. Now the next thing is question number 2b. Again, the example over here. Instagram is the most harmful social network for mental health. There is an image shown over here, and then a question. Okay, so I would again pause here, look at the question, try answering it on your own, and then we can further look into it. Now let's move on to the next part, that is your question number 3. Guys, I'm trying to cover only the explanation of the question. I will try to make another video on discussing each and every example, because if I do it in the class right now, it will end up extending the class by another 35 to 40 minutes. So what I'll do is I'll separate that particular video. I'll separately shoot that particular video wherein I'm discussing the answers. But what you guys can do is, I'll link this particular PPT in the on my website. You can go on my website. I'll upload it on my website. You guys can download it from there and then use it for your revisions also. Okay. Question number 3 and question number 4, we are going to discuss those concepts in the next video. I hope you have subscribed to the channel so that you get a notification for the update on the next video, which will be released very soon, either today or tomorrow.